boys and girls. My name is Mrs. Reinke, and I work at the board office at Sycamore. And I'm so excited today to be able to read to you a chapter from Gooseberry Park. I'm going to be reading chapter 5, which is entitled Time. Kona, Gwendolyn whispered into the darkness, it's begun. The dog lifted his large brown head from his bed in the corner of the living room. Listen, said Gwendolyn. Kona held herself quite still and listened. There was the ticking of the Swiss clock on the mantel, the hush of warm air from the gas fireplace, the subtle buzz of the plant light above Professor Albert's violets, and something else. Can you feel it in the air, Kona? Gwendolyn shifted her shell around to look at him directly. Kona waited, and as he did, a most powerful feeling came over him. Here's a picture of them looking out the window. Is it Stumpy? He whispered. Is it time? The old crab stretched her antenna as high as they could reach. She searched the air. I believe it is time, she said with conviction. Oh, Kona jumped up. Oh! He went to the picture window and looked out toward the tops of the trees in Gooseberry Park. I wish I could be there, he said. He rested his front paws on the windowsill. Kona, dear, said Gwendolyn, you are a most remarkable dog, but I am sorry to say not so remarkable as to climb a tree and assist a squirrel with having babies. I wish I were, Kona said with a sigh. I wish I were that remarkable. She'll be fine, dear, Gwendolyn said reassuringly, fully believing this herself. She's a plucky one. Kona stared out toward the park a little while longer, and then he began to pace. He went from the living room to the dining room, turned right at the sideboard to the study, circled the study, then paced back to the living room exactly the way he'd come. He longed for a good bone to chew, but he'd left his best one in the backyard. He plopped down on the floor and began chewing the leg of the coffee table. Kona, yelled Gwendolyn. What? The dog jumped up so fast that he banged his nose on the table. Thanks, Gwendolyn. Forgot where I was. I don't think there's much damage. The old crab shook her head. Kona, my dear, there are things in life, sometimes things in this life that we must experience alone. Even having babies? Asked Kona. Even having babies, answered Gwendolyn. Why, when I had my children... Gwendolyn, you have children? Kona's eyes were wide with surprise. The crab smiled. Dear, I had quite a full life in the tropics before I was carried off to be sold in a pet shop. Not that I'm complaining, mind you. I'm very devoted to our Professor Albert. Children? Asked Kona. At least 50, whispered Gwendolyn, all grown now. And let me tell you, my friend, giving birth is something very private and rather sacred. It was for me, at least, as private as prayer. Oh, said Kona with a solemn look on his face. Together the two gazed out the window in silence at the trees, the stars, the clear bright moon in the sky. Each was full of thoughts, thoughts about the earth and its heavens, about mothers and their children, about the profound comfort of shelter and sustenance in the familiarity of home. And both sent forth their best, their strongest, their most sustaining thoughts to a little red squirrel who at that very moment was happily nursing 2 baby boys and 1 baby girl in the good green fragrance of a pin oak tree. And that's the end of chapter 5.